Welcome to the Right Handyman How-To series. In these videos, I will show you some tips and tricks to help you avoid those mistakes that can turn a small project into a large disaster. I'll be your host, Colin, the Right Handyman. Welcome to part 2 of building a shed. Now that we have a solid floor built, we're going to look at building the rest of the structure. Since we put in all the time and effort to build a nice, straight, level, solid floor, we can now use that as a work surface to assemble our walls to make sure that they're all flat, level, and square as well.
Okay, so here I'm just building the right side wall, and basically we're just putting the panels on it now. So what I'm going to do here is basically you're going to use these panels to square up this wall. If you kind of look closely, you'll see that the amount of the 2x4 showing down here is greater than what's up there. Now that could mean that maybe I put that one in a little crooked. However, I've nailed in the top. It's flush with the top up there. And then what I'm going to do is get this side flush, because this panel is square. So once this side is flush, I nail it down, I'll measure up and this whole wall should be square. So we can use the paneling to kind of help us do this job.
Now that we've assembled the wall, we want to get it stood up and secured into place. You'll notice that I've pre-fastened some 2x4s to the floor to act as supports for this wall once I stand it up. I do most of my work alone, so I have to kind of think ahead and make sure that everything's in place before I do this, because I cannot afford to have this wall fall on me, as it will probably hurt.
Alright, so what we got here is just a little bit of a crooked board. Wood is a natural substance, and it does change shape with humidity, temperature, all that kind of stuff. Now, if you're going to use screws to try and pull it in there, all you're going to do is basically sink the screws right through the wood and cause nothing. It won't even fix it. Get yourself a clamp and kind of clamp it on there. As tight as you can, and then put some screws in it. Clamp will hold it in proper shape for you until you get it secured. And there you go. The wonderful presence of clamping power.
Here we're building the back wall. You'll notice it's a little bit of a different construction. It's not the typical ladder frame. It's more of a T-frame. This is so that we can put in a loft, a shelf, and a workbench along the back wall after we have this set up between the right and the left wall. Obviously the front wall is going to be different as well. We have to leave room for a doorway, which means there's actually going to be very little support structure in this, so it's going to rely a lot on support from the right and left wall. And once all this stuff is tied together, the structure will be very strong.
Alright, we got all the walls put together. Now, we just got to stand them all up. I already got the left one up. Time to put the rest of them in place.
When building the walls, you'll notice that the paneling overhangs the bottom by just a little bit. This is so when you stand the wall up, you can nail it from the outside into the floor. After that, of course, you run along the inside bottom plate and pound 3-inch spikes into the floor as well. It gives you a very strong attachment to the floor. You'll notice I had a few small issues getting the back wall into place level and square, and that's due to this T-bar type of construction. I didn't have everything perfectly lined up when I built it, but what I did is I took some of the parts out, got everything lined up, got it square and level, put them back in, and everything looked good after that. Now all that's left is the front wall, and it went in fairly easy because everything else was already lined up and square. Congratulations, you have now finished the main structure of your shed. The next steps we're going to be looking at will be to put in the loft, the workbench, the shelf, the roof, and of course all the doors, windows, etc. after that. Stay tuned.